I am back. Talking about the just the queasy, unsettling feeling I have, even when I was praising what Liz Cheney was doing. Like, who am I praising? Who am I giving all this credit to? Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney's daughter. And these people have come forward to testify. It's just left me, feeling, Malloy, you're being conned. And I know I'm supposed to, the prevailing sense is I'm supposed to be grateful that these Republicans have come forward. Well, where the fuck were they for 4 years? When Trump was slowly destroying the foundational efforts by the framers of this country to provide us with a workable model for a democratic republic. And Trump spent 4 years dismantling everything that they tried to do and everything that every progressive administration in this country has tried to do for the past 230 years. And Trump sat there and smashed it and ripped it to pieces and destroyed and appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court 3 people with the help of the turtle, Mitch McConnell, that Trump didn't have a fucking idea what those it might as well be legislators, what those justices were about. Trump doesn't do homework. Trump doesn't do any kind of research. And now we're supposed to look at these Republicans, especially the members of the Senate and or the House, and the ones on the two. I like Adam Kinzinger. I do, but I hate his politics. As far as Liz Cheney's politics, I can't stand what she has done ever since she's been a representative in the U.S. House. But the crimes committed by Trump and all the filthy slime around him have been so monstrous, so egregious. We now have a movement in this country where sheriffs, county sheriffs, are starting to demand investigations of the results of the 2020 election in their home counties. What the fuck is going on? Because what these sheriffs organizations are saying is that the election was stolen from Trump. This country right now is on the verge of being consumed. I mean, literally consumed with this insanity. And come this November, the midterm elections, well, you know my feelings about what's going to happen subsequent to the election. My God. Florindo Transiliti is our sponsor tonight. Thank you, Florindo. His message: the Trump court plans the export of death by climate change to the world. The reference there being the ruling by the Supreme Court that the EPA did not have the power, the authority to regulate death-dealing emissions being released by coal-fired power plants. Well, if the EPA doesn't, you son of a bitch and fuckers on the Supreme Court, who does? Well, that's right. Nobody. Thank you, Florindo. Back to Hirschman, who, when he testified, I mean, this guy has a problem looking. I realized he was testifying before committee staff who were, it was like a deposition what Hirschman was doing. And I think he showed up without a subpoena to get him there. I'm not sure about that. But Hirschman was in his White House office supporting Trump through 2 months of lying about winning the election. Well, while he had Well, Trump had his scum minions file no less than 60 lawsuits to overturn election results, every one of which he lost. So Hirschman and the rest of these so-called White House heroes supported everything that Trump did right up until they made a determination that continuing to participate with Trump to overturn the election might put them in legal jeopardy, might put them susceptible to criminal charges. And only when served with subpoenas, maybe Hirschman did get a subpoena, demanding their testimony, did they finally, as Truscott puts it, utter a few squeaks of disapproval to congressional investigators. A few squeaks of disapproval. That's some heroic Republicans for you, right? And according to Liz Cheney, these Republican slime should be thanked for, using her words, quote, coming forward and telling the truth, end quote. Coming forward under the threat of a subpoena and telling the truth now, after the horrible, hideous fucking damage to this country is a fait accompli. It's been done. And how are we going to recover? And then Truscott, I've got to quote this for you. He writes, at the close of last Thursday's hearing, Cheney gave one of her self-justifying reach around and pat myself on the back like I'm triple jointed statements. And this one was a doozy. She included this gem, which apparently we're supposed to get down on bended knee to thank her for. She said this, quote, as January 6th approached, I circulated a memo to my Republican colleagues explaining why our congressional proceedings to count electoral votes could not be used to change the outcome of the election, end quote. Well, my goodness sakes alive. Liz Cheney actually wrote that? Well, even thinking, even considering that there was a need to tell her Republican colleagues something that is written into the Constitution should have been all the evidence that Liz Cheney needed that the Republican Party had so completely gone off the rails that even she probably didn't belong there any longer. But did she resign? Did she become an independent? Fuck no. She started laying plans for a future she thought she could see, even if none of her colleagues could see it. And that would be a time when Trump will be nothing but a hideous memory, when the fucker will be dead and gone, either politically or literally or both. I pray for the latter first. Get the fuck off the planet, Mr. Trump, you bastard. And let's see if you agree with this. This is also what Truscott wrote. I think on Thursday night, that was the evening after the testimony that went on till about 10:30. He writes, I think on Thursday night, I realized what the Republican long-term plan is. Liz Cheney and the so-called adults in the room in the Republican Party are laying the groundwork for the party to survive after Trump is finally put in jail or in some other yet-to-be-determined way expunged from their midst. Liz Cheney is Dick Cheney's daughter. She is a lifetime right-wing Republican functionary. She wants there to still be a Republican Party so they can continue to grease the skids for billionaires to make more billions and millionaires to make more millions like her dad did. And of course, it goes beyond that. That's how Truscott puts it. And yeah, I agree with that. And just for a moment, just as an aside, and Truscott mentions this too, but let me just point out Dick Cheney's career in case you forgot. He started out as a House Republican back when that was a really shit detail. I mean, the Democrats controlled everything, right? And he was rewarded for that under George Bush Sr., the position of Secretary of Defense. And he was the architect, Cheney was, of the first Gulf War. You remember that way back in 1990, 91, whatever? And the first Gulf War was designed to ensure that oil would continue to flow from Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, and that oil companies in the good old USA would continue to make tons of money. So then when Bill Clinton was elected, Cheney was taken under the wing of the owners who made him CEO and chairman of Halliburton. Remember Halliburton? That's where he fattened his own bank account to the tune of several tens of millions of dollars. Jesus Christ, this man was corrupt. And then he appointed himself vice president under Bush II. Do you remember that? When Cheney was given the task of finding a running mate for the idiot and eventual war criminal George W. Bush. And Cheney finally, after conducting his search for several months, announced to the world that the best person he could find to be George W. Bush's vice presidential nominee was him, Dick Cheney. Jesus Christ. And that's when Cheney began his campaign to promote the war in Iraq, based on lies, deception, war crimes. Fucking Cheney didn't care. That filled Halliburton's bottom line. And Halliburton owned, what was it? Kellogg, Brown and Reuters, KBR, which was a major defense contractor in Iraq. The warmongers and the oil companies made billions and billions of dollars on the slaughter of people in Iraq, and a war crime that the United States said was the worst war crime a country could commit. We declared at the Nuremberg trials of the German High Command and the German industrialists for what they did in various countries in Europe. And when George W. was elected and Dick Cheney was vice president, they had no fucking hesitation to commit the same war crimes. Only they called it, what was it? Operation Iraq Liberation, until somebody realized that's the acronym for that was oil. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. So while that was going on, while Dick Cheney was participating in and initiating these war crimes in order for him to get rich, Liz Cheney learned how the Republican Party works. It's who they are, and it's what they've always been, the Republican Party. If you look back through political history and see what the Republican Party, post-Abraham Lincoln, I mean, that's the only thing these fuckers have to hold up and say, yeah, but look what the Republican president did, and the Democrats wanted to continue slavery. Stop with the assassination of Kennedy and move, the assassination of Lincoln, and move forward and look at what the Republican Party has done. All the shit that they've done, like screaming about transgender bathrooms and vaccine mandates and school choice, and even their anti-abortion hallelujah chorus with the fundamentalist Christian terrorists, that's all crap, according to Truscott. It's red meat for the rubes in the Republican Party. Do you really think they care if their wife or their mistress's hairdresser marries his partner? Do you think if a Cheney granddaughter got raped at college and got pregnant that she wouldn't be able to get an abortion? Do you think If a Cheney granddaughter just wanted an abortion because she broke up with her boyfriend who got her pregnant, that she wouldn't be put aboard a jet and flown across state borders to the best abortion doctor in the country? End quote, Lucian Truscott. Of course not. None of that's true. These Republicans, the ones I now identify, I may be wrong here, as Christian terrorists, that's the rank and file. Those are the scum that the Republican elite keep motivating and whipping into a frenzy. But the Republicans, they'll always protect what Gore Vidal used to call them, the owners, the Republican elite, the owners. They'll always protect the owners and their mansions and their yachts and their jets and their ability to avail themselves of abortion services or even contraception if it comes to that. And as Truscott points out, they'll always cut taxes for each other, even if it means that poor people get poorer and that children don't get fed at lunchtime in public schools and migrants continue to die in tractor trailers in Texas. Yeah, the owners don't give a fuck. And I think that any person in this country who still has the ability to look at this shit and go, oh my God, understands that. That would be you. That would be me. There are millions of us. So why are we allowing this goddamn insanity to go on? There's only one outcome for this. If we don't stop it, there's only one. There's only one. And that is the total destruction of this democratic republic. The total destruction. And in that destruction, the shit that's going to happen is just unthinkable right now. What's going to happen to so-called minorities? What's going to happen to women? What's going to happen to the rule of law that Trump and his minions have utterly shredded with fucking scum like this dumpster-dwelling Steve Bannon and this hideous, impossible to understand human Sidney Powell and this goddamn insane bat boy Giuliani. I mean, these people are going to wind up in positions of absolute power. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.